Okay. Welcome back to round 7 coverage of the Eternal Extravaganza 6 Platinum Satellite, hosted by the Bearded Dragon Games in Burnsville, New Jersey. So at the end of round 6, we saw Infect take a really, really close 3 against Bug Control with a particularly complex stack that involved kicking of vines in response to a click, and then like 4 minutes later, just showing Invigorate Berserk kill you. And so that was the cap to that round. Previous to that, we saw Delver Mirror as our A-side match. And now we're in round 7 with Jesse, who we saw in round 4, still on the same Eldrazi deck,
We also
obviously.
saw Tom Ellis do some really, really nutty things with elves, with Nissa Vital Force waking up Gaia's Cradle, which
and
is
then
like
untapping it
double
again.
seeding song. It's really, really insane.
It's quite insane.
But yeah, we saw some great stuff so far, and we're winding down here, and we've got this is table 3. This is one of the
this is a win in.
one of the matches that has to play because it's, like I said, getting up towards the cut.
Yeah.
So we're seeing Jesse Machusak, who we saw earlier in an epic match against 4-color control, and his colorless Eldrazi deck against Dan Benapayo and his Reanimator deck.
Yeah.
And
so,
we're going down to the match, so party on. Daddy?
So it looks like both players were able to keep 7s. I think they're just waiting for our go-ahead. And Dan's hand
it's
looks...
possible Dan is tanking super hard.
On his mulligan?
On his keep, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he's good.
Yeah, so
okay,
he's
he
keeping...
gave a little bit of a hand gesture there.
And Jesse's keeping. So if Jesse has a Chalice on 1, that's going to be quite good. And if Dan just has a, like... What is Dan doing with his deck box? What's going on? I'm very confused now.
Oh.
Just decided
right.
he just decides he wants to sideboard for game 1?
We'll keep rolling, so like...
Yeah.
Reanimator. This is the blue-black Reanimator, and not the super fast red-black Chancellor of the Annex variety.
So he's going to be brainstorming and pondering and casting normal Magic cards for Legacy rather than just these off-the-wall, hyper-aggressive rituals and things like that. It looks like he may have a sideboarding error. No, okay. So
I think
we're just good.
on.
Yeah.
So Dan is on the play, and he's going to lead with the Delta.
Yeah. So the Delta, he likely knows what Jesse's on at this point across 7 rounds. So he fetches for an island. Likely to play around something like Wasteland,
which Jesse has a number of.
Yeah.
So
I would
full complement.
I would say the full 4 usually. Yeah. And he does in fact have four Wastelands in his deck. Yes.
4 Wastelands and terrible penmanship. That's just been pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Lots of people have had 4 Wastelands and bad handwriting today.
Yep. That's par for the course. And so we're going to see Dan lead on a Ponder. So a particularly fair opening from the Reanimator deck.
So if Jesse doesn't know what Dan's on, it's possible that he could see any number of things.
Yeah.
Or he could think any number of things.
So this could be Miracles with a budget mana base. It could be Sneak and Show.
He does have the Chalice, though, which is very important right now to his opening. But does he have a second mana source? Because I see he has an Ayavugan.
He also just didn't have a Soul Land to jam right away.
It's possible that Dan can just go right now.
Yeah. So if this Careful Study resolves, and then Dan has a Black Source and a Reanimate, it's going to be
and a Fatty.
He
needs to have a Fatty as well, which I'm sure he has.
I think we saw a Grizzlebrand in his hand already.
I see a whiteboarded Reanimate.
Yeah,
and
so
a Grizzlebrand,
he's just got this because I also see him having a fetch land in his hand. So he's going to fetch and then likely cast Reanimate, lose 8 life, and not worry about it because his 7/7 has lifelink. And this is going to be close to the same story we saw with the Sneak and Show matchup earlier, where the games often just end when one of these ridiculously large creatures enters play. It's quite difficult to cast spells for the correct number of mana into things that cost...
Occasionally, these colorless decks will incorporate like a couple Karakas here and there.
Yeah.
Since they don't really have too many mana constraints.
Yeah, Jesse has opted to play 2 Blinkmoth Nexus in what would usually be that slot.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's Urborg, sometimes it's... more utility lands, Mutavaults or Mishra's Factories or whatever. But
Jesse does not have access to Karakas.
It is a GP promo Grizzlebrand that is now in play.
Yes. And the Ayavugan's going to do its best impression of being unfair.
Yeah,
but
Jesse's best possible opening in this matchup is Soul Land into Chalice and Void on 1.
Yes. And if you'll notice, Dan exclusively has cast 1-drop spells this game. So Chalice on 1.
He even had a daze to back it up, too.
Yeah. So if... for Game 2, since it's very likely that Jesse will be going to Game 2 and being on the play because this Grizzlebrand, quite difficult to beat, we'll likely see him mulligan more aggressively to a Chalice on 1 now that he knows what his opponent's up to.
There's definitely a consideration to be made for Jesse just conceding
as
soon as the Grizzlebrand is in play because Only one deck really plays Ayavukin.
Yeah, but I think once you've seen him fetch to the island, you think he already knows what's up.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that he just knows what's up. Also, Jesse is a local, and he's just the Eldrazi guy.
He's
right?
a local, he's the Eldrazi guy, and he plays here on Mondays a lot, and Dan also plays here on Mondays every once in a while.
So they know what's going on.
Yeah. Also, Jesse was just on round 4 of coverage, so unless Dan's match took the entire round, he likely tuned in to see what was up and saw Jesse's deck.
He's probably watching. He's probably a big Kevin Jones fan.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
I mean, I don't blame him. That guy's gas.
I mean, I suppose.
But yeah. So Dan is doing more things, even though Jesse is heinously dead.
Yeah,
But
Jesse's
that's
just
okay.
trying to make sure. So the only thing we want to see Dan not do is reanimate another Grizzlebrand because that card is legendary. But pretty much anything else he can do will be just fine. Oh, and he's going to Thoughtseize, so he's going to just see what's going on if there's any wonky
Now
things.
this is where you concede.
I would concede here, yes.
Hey,
But you got to show your promo
so.
Dismember, so.
Well, he thought. Does he have another copy of Dismember in the deck?
I do not
2
believe
Dismember.
so.
He was
okay,
playing
so he
to
has,
drawing the second one.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
but now he has one turn. And if the Dismember gets Thoughtseized, you're on a no-outer anyway.
The Dismember should get Thoughtseize.
Yeah, so I think I would scoop with this on the stack.
I mean, the whole point of scooping was so that your opponent doesn't know the exact configuration of your deck, and now that Thoughtseize is resolved, you don't really leak any more information by playing the rest of the game out.
But
and he didn't even take the Dismember.
With him putting the Thoughtseize on the stack, it gives him information about the kinds of hands you'll keep.
Did he draw the second one? That would be crazy.
Yeah, I
he
do
could
not
go
think...
Soul Land, double Dismember.
Yeah, I don't think
live.
he drew it.
I mean, Dan also has an Exhume in hand, so he would just follow it up by putting Grizzlebrand back into play.
He also has a second Grizzlebrand. He discarded 2 to the Careful Study.
His hand is Brainstorm, Force of Will, Exhume.
Yeah, so this game's just decidedly over.
Over 1,000 Ways to Sunday.
Yeah. But it looks like Jesse will pay 2 mana for this super fair Thoughtseize on a stick.
No, he gets some more information, too.
Yeah.
It's just a war of who can get more information before the other opponent dies.
Yeah,
Which
except...
is fun, I suppose.
And, I mean, Jesse knows he's dead, so he's just trying to get some free information.
It does influence sideboarding decisions, but like, what he shows him doesn't really mean anything either.
And he's just trying to get something on the way out. You can't take it with you. You might as well put it into play.
Exactly.
And I do, again, it's been a theme of the day, but I much prefer when people pick a line and stick to it rather than waffle. And the fact that he stuck with the line of not scooping, I like continuing the line of not scooping.
Well, the thing is, like, sometimes so
that card should be exiled, but
the equity changes, right? Like, so after a certain tipping point, you don't gain anything more by playing the game out, and you only stand to lose information by play. But like, I mean, he knows you're on Eldrazi at this point; doesn't really matter that much.
So that Brainstorm should be exiled. We'll see if we can get that to happen, but it doesn't really matter. There's no Snapcaster Mages floating around or anything like that. There's no Delve spells, so it's not largely relevant.
It is I guess a GRV or a failure to maintain or whatever, but
it's not going to influence the game. So we'll see if we can get that cleaned up for the future 2 games.
Just a custodial thing for the future for sure. So go to the sideboards though. We got lots of stuff in here.
Yeah. So Jesse actually at the top of his sideboard has probably his best card, 2 Grafdigger's Cage.
He
also has
he also has 4
Leyline of the Void.
So he's not messing around.
Yeah. And another copy of All Is Dust.
Chalice.
He has access to a second All Is Dust out of the board also.
So from Jesse's perspective, I like the 2 cages.
The 4 ley lines.
The 1 Metamorph, just because it can copy Grizzlebrand and sweet stuff like that.
Well, you also know that the Reanimator deck usually has a Show and Tell out of the board. And so I would love to Show and Tell and Metamorph. Yeah.
I think the timing works so that it can... I don't know if it can copy whatever they put into play.
So it can only copy things that are in play before the Show and Tell.
It's not great.
Yeah. But I mean...
But you can make a Smasher, and then copy your Smasher, and
and it's just a 3-mana version of whatever you have, and since you have these disgusting 6 and 8 drops anyway...
You're incentivized to play a 3-mana version of whatever you have.
So I think that's still fine.
But I like the cages, the Metamorph, the 4 ley lines, the... is that the 4th Chalice or the 3rd
Chalice? I think that's Snap coming in.
2, 3, 7, 8, and then the 2 Warping Whales, they counter Study, Exhume.
Yeah, Ponder.
And
I think you have enough.
Thoughtseize.
And I think you have enough nonsense also. Like, Crucible of Worlds not doing anything in this matchup. GT largely irrelevant.
Oblivion Sower.
Dismember not great, but
Just
potentially in.
Nonsense. He also has 2 main deck Thorns, so like
those
he's really got some game if he gets the draw.
I also think you're just snap taking out the 4 Eldrazi Mimic, I don't think you're successfully racing this
No,
deck.
I like the Eldrazi. So you want to just play as like a...
I just
like
want to be a hateful deck.
Like
yeah.
a prison deck or
Yeah.
a hate deck. And so we are back in the booth while we discuss sideboarding. And from Dan's perspective, see 4 copies of Show and Tell, which will surely come in. They almost always come in just to preemptively, beat Graveyard Hate, to preemptively mitigate Graveyard Hate. And it's possible we could see Echoing Truth.
Yeah.
Good answer to the big permanence to buy you some time, and also an answer to Cage.
Yeah.
And Leyline for what it's worth.
So it's unfortunate that Jesse doesn't get to play white, because since they've printed Containment Priest, that's the only card that successfully answers every way that Reanimator tries to cheat things in.
He also could board in Decay to combat Cage, but I think between Truth and the Show and Tells, it's not going to actually hurt his plan that much.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Do you think he boards in the Inkwell Leviathan? I don't think he really needs Hexproof.
No, it's Island Walk, right?
I think it's a 7/11 Hexproof Island Walk. Trample, maybe? It may not have Trample. Shroud. Okay, not Hexproof.
But it doesn't need...
Once it has Island Walk, it doesn't need Trample?
Yeah, but there's no islands.
Yeah.
They're just going to block it with huge creatures. I don't think you bring in the Inkwell. So I like bringing in the Show and Tells. I like bringing in the Echoing Truths. And there's a conversation to be had regarding Decay, specifically because of Chalice.
Yeah.
I think he should actually bring in Decay, too.
Yeah. Because I don't think you can just try to ride your forces to victory. I think you do need to have a reactive answer to Chalice in case he sneaks one in.
Because of the Jesse being on the play and being able to have Chalice on turn 1, I think Dan will cut all his copies of Daze.
I agree with that.
Also, he can infer correctly that there are Cavern of Souls in Jesse's deck.
Well, Jesse's also just got 8 soul lands. So the Dazes being Force Spikes are also of questionable quality.
But he's going to keep forces because they're good against Chalice, and they're good against Cage or what have you.
Yeah, they're good against whatever.
But I like taking out the Dazes.
Yeah.
And maybe trimming on some of the weirder.
Yeah, I think you can probably cut the Animate Dead.
Yeah, like I said, some of the weirder cards.
I think that you want the Petals to stay explosive.
Mm-hmm.
I think you want all the cantrips. I think you need the Reanimate, Entomb, etc.
I think that Iona and Elish Norn are both kind of trash.
Yeah, I think you leave in the Tidespout, and I think you're firmly on the Grizzlebrand plan.
Tidespout is going to shine here, and you're firmly on the Grizzlebrand plan.
Yeah, because Tidespout can bounce lands.
But yeah, Tidespout is really going to shine.
Yeah.
If there was a second Tidespout, I would immediately board that in.
Yeah.
It's possible he boards in the Inkwell just because it's huge.
Yeah.
And he's boarding down on threats.
Yeah, so we're going to cut back down to the actual match.
Yeah, I might also swap the Iona for the Inkwell. I don't know if there's a ceiling to the density of threats that Reanimator wants in. It's like maybe they always want to have 7 creatures that they can target. Because they definitely don't want Iona.
It literally does nothing.
Elish has like some marginal value
At least
against
it kills the tiny Eldrazi.
Mimics and Reshapers and whatnot.
And the Manlands. It turns out the Manlands as well.
Turns
so
out the Manlands too, which is
fine.
nice.
But yeah, naming a color against the colorless Eldrazi deck, not at its best.
I mean, you can name black and shut off Dismember, but like... Ugh.
But like that's already only a 2 of.
Don't love it. I don't know. I think you're better suited just cutting the Iona.
Iona also costs either 9 or 10 mana, right?
Yeah.
It's an obscene life loss also.
For Reanimate. Yeah, it's really there for the matchups where Iona on a certain color just immediately
colds
ends
them,
the
like
game.
Death and Taxes for white, Elves for green, stuff like that. Pox
and here
for
we
black, etc.
Back to the match.
Yeah. So hopefully we
Jesse
can see
on
some
the play,
sevens.
drawing his opening 7, and
it has a Leyline.
A copy of Leyline.
It has a Leyline and a Thorn off of an Ancient Tomb, and it looks like it might even have 2 Thorns. So I think this hand's just got to be exactly what you're looking for.
Every rose has 2 thorns.
It looks like it's...
Brett Michaels said.
It looks like it's an Umazawa's Jite, 2 Thorn of Amethyst, a Black Leyline, a Batter Skull, an Ancient Tomb, and a Simian Spirit Guide. Looks to be Jesse's 7. So this Thorn...
And Dan is also kept. As we can see, Jesse is beginning the game with Leyline.
Yeah.
And Thorn. Well, definitely wove a nice little web here.
Yeah. This is going to be difficult to beat, and Dan going to be unhappy with what he reads. And it looks like there's a 1-drop that was likely colded. And we see another Ancient Tomb here. So I've noticed that the Thorns...
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, the Thorns only tax non-creature spells. They're not... they are not Sphere of Resistances.
Oh, he does have Thought Knot.
Yes.
Oh, wow. This is the nut draw, if you will, right?
Yeah. I would like to play a 4/4 that Thought Seizes you after making all your spells cost extra and turning off your graveyard, please. So we see a hand that is Brainstorm, Ponder, Ponder, Thoughtseize, Exhume, Grizzlebrand, Underground Sea. So
Oh no, it's just a second Thoughtseize. It's not a Grizzlebrand.